What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And in this video, I'm going to be covering the overall market, what's going on, and what happened today in the market, as well as a couple of other stocks that I typically cover up there. As you can see, those are the stocks I mainly cover right now, and that's ABNB, SOFI, and PLTR that we're going to touch on today. So first off, in the market, we saw a pullback today, and that is typical. I talked about this in the Patreon that we actually needed a bit of a pullback, and to not overextend yourself as the market is hitting all-time highs on SPY and QQQ. This is very common, and the higher we go, the more exposed to risk you are. So for your long-term stocks, it's not a big deal, but as you're getting into options and swing plays, it can become, more risky to get into those plays. So we expected this. However, I did see a chart posted on Twitter from dark pool charts that the dark pools were loading today. So that's dark pools and algos. They were buying this dip. So that is a good sign. Now, I believe we saw some selling off because we have the FOMC rate decision tomorrow. We have Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow. People get spooked out about this. So hopefully everything goes well and we rebound tomorrow. But, people are going to pretty much be waiting just to hear what is going to be said. So tomorrow is going to be choppy. It's probably going to be low volume until we really get that Fed rate decision. All right, starting off with PLTR, we saw the open of the market, everything pumped up. I assume we just saw a lot of profit taking, and people just wanted to lock in their profits on PLTR. Maybe they had an average cost of 25, and then the entire market took a dip. A lot of growth stocks, a lot of small caps, tech, pretty much everything took a dip today. And we saw PLTR end down about 3%, including after hours, sitting around 24. They had some news come out today. They have a partnership going, an alliance with Origin Materials to form an alliance to accelerate the world's transition to net zero carbon. Basically, Origin Materials is going to be implementing Foundry technology to support the acceleration of its internal operations and to help companies decarbonize their supply chains on their journey to net zero. So that was just one of the things in the headlines today. And then we saw a couple other articles come out today. This one from FX Street talking about how PLTR looks ready for a breakout. And they talked about this. I believe it was right at the time it was breaking out. And then we saw the pullback today. So it says it looks ready to go higher. PLTR has been rallying from a low base. The company has been continually signing new contracts, which is all true. And then back in January, they pushed the stock from 26 to 45. Since then, the stock has gone back down to 1706. We saw that in the sell-off. Then they had earnings. We saw PLTR recover quite a bit. And now it's talking about, should I buy PLTR now? The resistance is 2470. We've been seeing that. And we're going to go over the chart in a second here. The volume has had a lack of volume around that 2470 level. And then we saw it sell off when it touched 25. So right now, I don't think too much is going to happen with PLTR. They need some big news. We need the overall market to just go bullish, especially on, these growth stocks. So I think PLTR is pretty much going to be stuck for a little while until we get some better news. So right now is a good time to probably sell some covered calls and just collect that premium, or just stay patient with your shares. All right, and here is the PLTR daily chart. I already actually had this drawn out, but you can see here it was a bit overbought, so it's coming down a little bit. MACD wants to curl back down, and it did break out, but it looks like it wants to come back and either test, 24 or 2350. Our first resistance point is 2528. Second resistance is around 2555. Then we have our first support level at 2460, which we are right at 2450 at the moment. So the second support would be 2419. So we'll see if that holds. I could see if the overall market's selling off, I could definitely see PLTR coming back down. I don't think it's going to do much right now. It's been trading sideways for quite some time. So like I said, either stay put with your shares or sell covered calls. And if it did come back down to, the 20 to 22 range, I might add to my position. Second up is SOFI, and this past week we've seen a huge sell-off after recently spiking up to 24. I believe it even went higher than $24 after being mentioned on Wall Street Bets. We thought that this could potentially get the attention that other Wall Street Bet stocks were getting. However, I am still long. I'm not buying around these prices. If it comes back down into the teens, then I will add to my position. But I am long on this company. I believe the lockup period, and shares were just registered via S1 the other day, so we have the lockup period to deal with. You're going to have the warrants to deal with. It's going to be choppy. You're going to have some selling off and profit taking, but that's just how it goes with these things. Still a great company. We're going to go over the chart and some articles that recently came out. So this recent article came out talking about how SOFI, they do a deep dive on it. David becomes Goliath. And the summary is that SOFI is building a great brand name and company, aiming to build a full suite financial service onto its easy-to-use app. They have their business segments, so lending, financial services, and digital banking. We all know that. Great growth company in the fintech sector. And SOFI deserves a valuation premium. There are numerous catalysts ahead, which is the bank charter, student loans starting back up. They are building their platform to make it, the best thing, as well as earnings coming up. They crushed their last earnings, so very excited for this company. It takes time for these companies to grow. If you rewind and look at stocks like SQ, how many times that stock went up and down and dipped over the years before finally taking off and becoming what it is today. So to find these stocks, you just have to have that conviction. Don't worry about the day-to-day fluctuations. And I will link this article if you guys want to read through it. It talks about a historical perspective. It talks about Anthony Noto being a great leader. It talks about their business platforms and stuff like that. So all linked below. Next, I wanted to talk about this Investor Place article talking about how SoFi shares are a more certain buy and what they're seeing. So looking at their weekly price chart, they're seeing a cup and handle, and they talk about, how great of a company SoFi is, all their numbers. It's a really solid article, but one thing I didn't really look at is the weekly chart. I typically look at the daily, the 4-hour, the 1-hour, and if I'm day trading, maybe the 15-minute. But this is what they're seeing on the weekly. They're seeing this cup and handle pattern forming. If you don't know what that is, it's a bullish pattern, one of my favorite patterns to trade, and it usually results in a big breakout in time for the stock. Now, this is the weekly chart, so this may take some time to play out. Looking at the daily, you can see SoFi was overbought, and we got that sell-off. It's not quite oversold yet, but we're getting there. MACD's crossing down. We could see some more selling, if the market remains in this current state, how it was today. But there's the cup and handle they're talking about. It's not the best looking one, but it is there. So we'll see how it goes for SoFi. Now, the first level of support is 2043. The second is 2007. And then first resistance is 2142. Second is 2205. So, now we got to break through those again. Hopefully we hold steady. If it does dip down into the teens again, I may consider loading up because we do have these catalysts coming up and they will play out over time. All right, and last up is Airbnb. Not going to talk too much about this one, but I have been talking about it on the channel quite a bit lately. When it was, in the low 140s, I've been adding this one a ton, talking about it in the Patreon, and I'm very bullish on this company long term. We know that this has been as high as, $218 before, and I didn't want to buy it around there, but I do love it, around 150 or less. I think that's a great deal. Very long-term play for me here. I do see this having a great summer run and returning, above 180 at least, and in the coming years doing very well. Very excited for their earnings to come out, but here's where we're at. So it did break out finally after going back and forth quite a bit these last couple of weeks. It is a bit overbought, so it could come down a little bit. We have heavy support at 147.50, hoping it holds that. Looks like it's an ascending triangle right here, so looking to continue this. It was the one of the only green stocks today that I could see. And then my price target, if it can break through that 154 resistance, I'm looking at 158 to 160. So very soon here. Excited for this company, and that is pretty much it.